Chapter 8, networking. John, chapter 8 is a key chapter for service leavers, and I don't say that lightly. You break down why networking is vital and why so many get it wrong and how to fix it. You don't just talk about LinkedIn, but the bigger picture of how military leavers struggle to put themselves out there and why 80% of the jobs go unseen by those who don't network effectively. Reading this back took me straight back to my own transition. I spent years in the military relying on rank and position and hierarchy to speak for me. Networking? That wasn't even in my vocabulary. Reaching out to strangers, selling my skills, and finding opportunities outside the system felt alien because we're never taught how to do it. So networking, a military blind spot. One of your most powerful points is that networking isn't encouraged in the military. I completely agree. There's an unspoken fear that personnel will leave sooner if they get too comfortable building civilian connections. And the military closes itself off. You only interact with people in uniform, follow a chain of command, and move from unit to unit in a way that feels like networking, but isn't. The result, when it's time to transition, most of us have no idea how to connect with businesses or to present ourselves outside of uniform or approach an employer with confidence. This hit me in 2019 when I took up flexible working for 2 years before discharged. I secured a voluntary role at New College Swindon, allowing me to step into further education, FE, while still serving. This was my real first taste of networking in the civilian world. At first, I had no idea how to engage. The culture, the expectations, and even the way people spoke to each other were different. No one cared about my military rank. I had to build credibility from scratch. But over time, I started seeing value in simply being present, asking questions, and understanding how things worked. Looking back, this was my true transition training. I was inside an industry, networking from within and learning from the realities of civilian work before I'd even left the forces, and that's the real key. Looking forward to today. I haven't been in the FE industry since 2021. It's been since 2019, a shift from 4 to 6 years, which is key in selling yourself. So branding and the identity shift. You make a great point about personal branding and how military people struggle with it. We're used to being defined by our role, unit, squadron, flight, ship, cat badge, service, and trade group. But outside, none of that matters. I remember when I first set up my LinkedIn profile, I had no idea how to describe myself. Was I a veteran, a leader, a project manager, a coach? The problem was I didn't know how to talk about myself without the military context. So it took speaking with you in the FDG in 2021 for me to finally fix my profile. I updated my profile picture to a professional version of me, not just a military headshot. I changed my banner to reflect who I am and what I offer. And I bullet pointed my experience and goals to make it easier for employers to understand. I made my profile different from my CV, keeping it personal, engaging and reflecting. And here's the proof that networking and branding work. LinkedIn directly helped me secure multiple civilian roles. This isn't just theory. It's a real tangible result of taking ownership of my own brand and connections. So breaking through the military mindset. One of the most relatable struggles you highlight in this chapter is how many military leavers hold themselves back. There's this fear of looking stupid, not knowing the right words, or having anything to offer. And I felt this deeply when I first started networking. I had years of leadership, training and operational experience, but I didn't know how to talk about it in a way that made sense to civilians. How we communicate in the military, blunt, direct, mission-focused, can be misinterpreted in the civilian industries. I had to unlearn certain habits and develop my emotional intelligence, especially in interviews and networking events. The biggest challenge is going from a respected leader to a complete unknown. But once I learned to adapt, everything changed. And the real power of networking for me was volunteering to employment. So one of the most powerful pieces of advice I can give those still serving is not just to network from the outside, but get into the industry where you want to work. And that's precisely what I did at New College Swindon. I reached out to HR directly. I didn't wait for an opportunity to appear. And they created a volunteer agreement allowing me to gain hands-on experience. I built up 100+ hours of real FE experience before applying for a job. This led to my first civilian job at MPCT, which then opened the doors to Gloucestershire College and beyond. Networking from inside an industry is invaluable. Too many service leavers rely only on sending a CV and hoping for interviews. But networking can get you inside before you even leave. And networking needs to start earlier. You make a brilliant point about how transition could start from year 4. I couldn't agree more. If networking was part of our career development from the start, we wouldn't be lost, uncertain, or starting from scratch by the time we left. For me, networking really kicked in about a year before I was discharged. By then, I'd already built connections, understood the FE sector, and I wasn't scrambling last minute to figure out my plan. So I suppose helping others and paying it forward, since leaving, I've had the privilege of networking with other service leavers and veterans, and it's one of the most rewarding things. Helping others navigate was once a struggle for me. Your 3 key LinkedIn tips in the chapter really summed it up. Understand your brand. Clarify who you are and what you do. Connect. Don't wait to build a network when you need one. Be visible. Talk about your transition and tell people what you want. So my final thoughts, my advice to service leavers. If you're still serving and you don't know where to start, do this today. Write down what you've enjoyed most in the military. Write down what you dislike the most. Identify industries that match your strengths and interests. Reach out directly to companies. Offer to volunteer. Getting an insight into industry before you leave is game-changing. It gives you real experience, a network, and something to add to your CV. John, this chapter is one of the most important in the book. Network isn't just about LinkedIn connection or business cards. It's about having the confidence to step into the unknown, to learn, to adapt, and take control of your future. For those still serving, I say this: start now. Do not wait until you're out to build your network, because your future depends on it. Look forward to chapter 9.